Most people have never heard of a butterfly roof on a Barndominium. If you've ever sketched a home on a napkin, 2 wings, tall windows, a roofline nobody else on your road has, this is the design you were reaching for. It solves 5 problems no other roof shape touches, and it does it best in the exact conditions people assume would kill it. Heavy snow, long winters, low winter sun. 2 roof planes sloped inward instead of outward. 1 reinforced spine down the center. 1 drainage channel doing the work that 6 scattered valleys usually do on a standard roof. Architects call it a V-roof. Structural engineers just call it a controlled load system, because that's genuinely what it is. Builders in snow country keep coming back to it, not because it photographs well, though it does, but because the geometry solves problems standard gable roofs quietly ignore for decades. By the end of this, you'll either be sketching your own butterfly roof barndo, or you'll know exactly why it's not for you. Both are worth the next few minutes. Let's go. Picture a standard gable roof, then flip it. Instead of 2 slopes rising to a peak, a butterfly roof has 2 slopes falling to a valley. The high points sit at the outer walls. The low point sits in the center, running the length of the home like a spine. That center line isn't decorative. It's structural and it's functional. Every drop of rain and every inch of snowmelt gets funneled to one place instead of spreading across the whole roof plane. On a Barndominium, this geometry does something a standard roof genuinely can't. Because the roof edges are elevated instead of tapering down, the exterior walls can go taller before the roof even starts. Taller walls mean taller windows. Taller windows mean daylight that actually reaches the back of a room, not just the 6 feet nearest the glass. That's the light benefit, and we'll get to it properly in a minute. But the center spine is the real story, and it's why this design keeps showing up in cold climate portfolios instead of staying a warm climate novelty. Every roof in snow country has to deal with load somewhere. A standard gable roof spreads that load across 2 full plains and multiple valleys, which sounds safer until you realize it also means multiple places for ice dams to form, multiple points where flashing can fail, multiple weak spots a framer has to get right. A butterfly roof puts all of that responsibility in one place. 1 spine, engineered for it from day one, instead of 6 unplanned trouble spots discovered the hard way in February. This channel doesn't sell plans, and it never will. What we do is walk through why a shape works, where it doesn't, and let you decide with your own engineer whether it's right for your lot, your climate, and your family. Commission it properly or don't do it at all. That's the only rule that matters here. 4 of these 5 reasons are things most people expect: light, zones, thermal performance, flexibility for the family down the road. The 3rd one is different. It's the reason builders in Minnesota and Colorado and upstate New York actually trust this roof in snow, and it has nothing to do with looks. Stay with me for that one specifically. Start with the wall height, because everything else about this design depends on it. A butterfly roof lets the outer walls rise higher before the roofline begins its slope. On a standard gable, roof height eats into wall height fast. The higher the pitch, the sooner the ceiling starts closing in near the eaves. A butterfly roof does the opposite. The eaves are the tallest point, not the shortest. Taller walls, genuinely, mean bigger glass. Clear-story-style windows can run along the upper wall where a gable roof would already be cutting the space off. Daylighting research backs this up directly. The U.S. Department of Energy has found that daylighting strategies like this can cut artificial lighting energy use by up to 30% in a home, simply by letting rooms use the sun instead of a switch for most of the day. That's not a small number. It's a genuine, measurable reduction, and it compounds over decades of ownership. But the benefit isn't only about the electric bill. It's about how a room feels in January, when the sun is low and the days are short, and every other house on the street has 3 hours of usable daylight before the lamps come on. A tall, south-facing wall of glass under a butterfly roof pulls that low winter sun deep into the living space instead of letting the roofline block it. Structurally, this is also where the design proves itself. Because the roof edges don't need to bear the full weight of a ridge beam the way a gable does, the perimeter walls can be genuinely column-free. That opens up window placement in a way a standard truss roof restricts. Architects use this word a lot for a reason. The geometry does the work most homes ask their walls to do. A butterfly roof barndo naturally reads as two wings under one connected roofline, and that's not an accident of the shape. It's the shape doing social work for you. The spine at the center isn't just a drainage channel. It's a visual and structural hinge between one wing and the other. That matters more than it sounds like on paper. One wing can hold the shared living space, kitchen, dining, the rooms where the whole family actually gathers. The other wing can hold the quieter spaces, bedrooms, a home office, a space for an aging parent or a returning adult child. Separated but connected, privacy and presence in the same footprint, without a single hallway wall doing the separating. And because the roof edges rise at the outer walls of each wing, each side can genuinely have its own ceiling height and its own light. A kitchenette or secondary prep sink in the quieter wing isn't a stretch here. The layout naturally supports a second small kitchen zone for a multi-generational household, without forcing everyone through one shared cooking space at every meal. That single detail is often what makes or breaks this design for families who have actually lived with an aging parent or a grown child back home. Nobody wants to fight over counter space at 7 in the morning. The garage question comes up here too, and it deserves a straight answer. Attach the garage to whichever wing holds the main kitchen, with a covered breezeway under the roof's overhang. That overhang, remember, is already deeper than a standard gable's because of how the walls rise. Groceries in the rain stay dry for the full walk from car to counter. That's not a minor convenience. It's the kind of detail that decides whether a beautiful roof also functions like a real home. Here's the reason builders actually trust this roof in snow country, and it's the opposite of what most people assume walking in. Everyone's first instinct is that a valley in the middle of a roof is where snow goes to become a problem. And on a poorly engineered version, that instinct is correct. Sources across the roofing industry are honest about this. An underdesigned butterfly roof can let snow and meltwater pool in that center channel. And if the framing underneath isn't reinforced for it, that becomes real structural stress over a hard winter. But that's precisely the trade-off a good engineer plans for instead of ignoring. Because all the load funnels to one predictable spine, that spine can be overbuilt once, correctly, with reinforced framing sized specifically for your region's snow load. Rather than hoping 6 scattered roof valleys on a standard gable each hold up on their own. Some builders add heat cables along that center channel specifically to keep meltwater moving instead of refreezing into ice dams overnight. One engineered point of failure, addressed directly, genuinely beats 6 unaddressed ones spread across a roof nobody's watching closely. Put another way, a standard roof in snow country is a bet that every valley, every flashing seam, every transition was framed correctly by whoever was on the crew that week. A butterfly roof is a bet that one spine, sized and reinforced on purpose, will do exactly what it was built to do. That's the honest version of engineered, not the marketing version. It's why structural engineers keep specifying this shape for cold climate builds instead of quietly steering clients away from it. This is also where rainwater and snowmelt harvesting becomes genuinely practical, not just a green building talking point. A single collection point at the base of that spine can feed a cistern directly. 2 courtyards, 3 zones, 1 connecting spine, and now 1 collection point doing double duty as a water strategy for the whole property. The same tall, south-facing glass that solved the light problem also solves a genuine thermal one, and it does it without a single mechanical system involved. In winter, the sun sits low on the horizon. A tall clerestory wall under a butterfly roof catches that low winter light and lets it travel deep into the room, warming floors and thermal mass through passive solar gain. In summer, that same sun sits high overhead, and a properly sized roof overhang. The deeper eave this design naturally produces blocks most of that high summer sun before it ever reaches the glass. Same windows, same wall, two completely different seasonal outcomes, and neither one requires a thermostat to make the decision. The taller wall cavities this design creates also allow for genuinely deeper insulation packages than a standard low-eave gable wall can easily accommodate. More cavity depth, more insulation, less thermal bridging at the top plate, small, unglamorous details that add up to real heating cost differences across a Minnesota or Wyoming winter. For the cold climate skeptics watching this and thinking the whole idea sounds better suited to Arizona, the adaptations exist, and they're not exotic. Reinforced center-spine framing sized to your county's ground snow load. Low-E, triple-pane glazing on the tall clerestory walls to prevent heat loss through all that glass. Heat cable along the drainage channel where winters are genuinely severe. None of this is guesswork. It's the same category of decision any cold climate roof has to make. This design just makes the decision in one place instead of scattering it. Families don't stay the same shape for 30 years, and a good floor plan has to be honest about that. The two-wing structure a butterfly roof naturally creates isn't just a privacy solution for today. It's a flexibility solution for every stage that's coming. Right now, that second wing might be a home office and a guest room. In 10 years, it might be where a parent moves in when living alone stops being safe. In 20, it might be where an adult child lands for a year while getting back on their feet, or where a caregiver stays during a hard season. The wing doesn't need to be reframed or rebuilt for any of that. It's already got its own entry point, its own ceiling height, its own light, a self-contained space under the same roofline, ready for whichever chapter shows up. That's the real argument for building this way now, even for families who aren't thinking about aging parents yet. You're not building for this year. You're building for the next 30, and a design that can quietly become a multi-generational home without a renovation is worth more than one that photographs well today and boxes you in later. And to be honest about who this is for, not everyone can build this version today, and that's fine. Frame this as building for the future, not something you have to do this year. A butterfly roof barndo can start smaller, with the second wing framed but left unfinished until the family actually needs it. The geometry doesn't punish you for waiting. None of this works if we pretend the roof has no downsides, so here they are, straight. First, cost and structural complexity. A butterfly roof genuinely costs more than a standard gable, reinforced center-spine framing, custom drainage engineering, and premium waterproofing membranes all add up. You're not paying extra for looks. You're paying for a roof that has to get one critical detail exactly right, and that precision isn't free. Second, design difficulty. The slope pitch on each wing has to be calibrated carefully. Too shallow and meltwater sits instead of draining, which is exactly how ice dams start. Too steep, and the proportions start looking odd against the rest of the home. This is not a roof for a general framer working from a stock truss package. You genuinely need a structural engineer who has sized snow load for a Center Valley roof before, not one learning on your house. Third, climate and site honesty. In regions with extreme sustained snowfall, this design demands real investment, heat cables, reinforced drains, a maintenance routine that a standard gable roof doesn't ask for. It can absolutely be done right in Minnesota, Colorado, or upstate New York. It has been repeatedly. But it asks more of the build than a safer, simpler roof would, and anyone telling you otherwise isn't being straight with you. This channel doesn't pretend every design fits every family or every lot. If your site, your budget, or your local snow load make this a genuinely hard case, that's worth hearing before you fall in love with the roofline. The compluvium roof of the Roman atrium home did something similar over 2,000 years ago, sloping inward on purpose, channeling rainwater to one central basin instead of losing it at the edges. That instinct to make a roof do more than just shed water isn't new. It's ancient, and it's proven. A butterfly roof on a barndominium is that same instinct, updated with modern engineering and a century of snow load data behind it. It's not for every family, and it's not for every lot. But for the ones it fits, it does something rare. It turns the hardest part of a cold climate roof into the most deliberate part of the design. That's not a small thing to hand a family building their forever home. 2 questions for the comments. First, the practical one, would a butterfly roof actually work on your lot, given your snow load and your site? And second, the honest one of the 5 reasons here, which one actually changed your mind, if any did? I read every comment on this channel, and I respond personally, so don't hold back if you disagree with any of this. If you want more breakdowns that go this deep into why a design actually works instead of just how it looks, subscribe. That's exactly what this channel is built for. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next one.